In general, it is a man's world.
I think the difference is in the Orthodox Jewish community, they tell you that women and men are equal. And they're not.
But they do tell you.
They do.
That's what I was trying to get at.
No.
They're not told you're second class.
No, okay, you're right. Okay, I'll say this very clear to the camera. I was never told that I was not equal. I was always told that I was equal. I just knew it in my heart that I wasn't equal.
It's interesting,
but
but that's what I mean about perversions.
That's
because
what I wanted to say.
But that almost made it worse.
What is a wife? Raye, what is a wife? Ezer Kenegdo. That means she's literally a piece of him. She is his exact other piece. That's a couple, right? That's a partner. Yeah. Unfortunately, people have perverted it. And unfortunately, you grew up in a community where they perverted it.
Yes, I completely agree. And I don't think Hashem wants that. And I don't think that's what true Judaism is at all. But I do think that it made it worse for me because I kept saying to my rabbis, I don't feel equal. This is messed up. There's halachas that say...
And they would say you are equal.
Yeah, and there's halachas that say if a man and a woman are drowning, you save the man first.
Oh, I hate this.
And that's straight up in the Gemara. This Gemara that
it's not women and children first?
No, it's men first.
So what I've come to realize is that I'm at this point in my life where I'm sorry that I'm speaking so freely. I literally feel like I say whatever I want. Does that mean that what I want is to hurt people? No. Mm-hmm. No. Does that mean I get to have, verbal diarrhea? No. I'm still a human being and I'm still held accountable by moral standards. And also, I'm no longer going to be policed. Not for being enough sex positive, not for being not religious enough or too religious, not for being body positive enough or not body positive enough. I'm done. And I think I'm in great company as a non-binary human. I think you get it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm non-binary in everything. I want all the food, I want all the things, all the religion, all the politics, all of it. Everything and nothing at the same time.
See, we said serious. And this got serious.
Yeah, there you go. So I went right in there.
I don't know how much I want to talk about cancel culture, but I do think there is a difference between your real life being canceled in the Orthodox world, which I think I've been canceled. I think maybe you haven't.
I think that I just decided, fuck it. I don't care what. I'm not canceled. I think
they tried to cancel you. I'm canceling you, bitch.
Like my dad said, they pushed me out. My dad acknowledged that just that's who I was. There wasn't room for it, and he works within the community to try to help people, so they're not pushed out. So and like you said, there's change within the community as well. So my family is good about that, but also I think I'm just showing up, and I think that's what the community originally had some problems with, because people, when they leave, they hide. Mm-hmm. They'd leave and now I go home and people know me. Yeah. And so I decided, no, fuck it. I'm not canceled.
But when you go
I'm not
home,
hiding in shame.
You go in a skirt.
I go in a skirt, but I'm home. And my hair looks the same.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll dress sneeze, but I also am in their faces. Not my family's amazing, but I'm saying the community. And I think I've been talking a lot about that with friends to figure out how much truth to share, or to not try to protect them as much, so that I can live my full self and trust that they'll be okay.
Yeah, they're adults.
They can handle it. And knowing I really am lucky. I have a good family. They're good people. But they are Chassidish, and they do have different values, and they don't understand my whole life. And sometimes I do try to protect them. And I think that it's a conversation I'm having about just being more fully myself. And I am with certain siblings, but maybe even a little bit more. But yeah, I just decided, fuck it, I'm not being canceled.
Yeah, I also want to add to that, also another point, is that as you grow up and you become more emotionally mature, I think that we are more we realize that the other side deserves gentleness too.
Oh, the grace, yes.
Mm-hmm. So it's there's grace gentle in both ways.
Yes,
and I think what happened with cancel culture is people just stopped being gentle with each other. Mm-hmm. I see a post I don't like. Let me tell everyone in the world, finish. Yeah. Take away their money. Take away their career. Take away their children. Take away their dignity. That's it. We've stopped being gentle.
And also making room, for having room for difference of opinion and having room for mistakes. Yeah. There is no room. There's no grace at all. I think that's a lot. When I cut you off, you have something else?
It's just ego. That's what it is. It's all of our egos. And I'm the same way. When and I run a business, and when I have somebody that brings me feedback, and I'm an adult until this day, my initial reaction is to defend myself and to deflect and to say, it's not true, I was doing a great job. But the truth is that if I'm being emotionally mature, my ego needs a check sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think we live in a world where our egos have become number one, number two, number three. Even with self-love and even with this healing, if I hear one more word about these containers, this container is starting to feel really stuffy. That's what it's starting to feel like. Like all these healers and all these people that
also
want these spaces. It's like the
containers
ego.
are
Are you talking about like a
also-
safe space?
But it's
Yeah.
the same concept. It's that whole me.
Yeah. And maybe also like I think what's become what I think is there's a way, even in the container, there's a way to be in the container, and that is not safe. You know, like there's a way, and we talk about this, and we contain just this part of you. I think that holistic healing, given like we need that grace for other people. We also need to know that we can handle if they're uncomfortable, and they can handle being uncomfortable. Like there's all the truths at once, and they can be hurt, and we can have difference of opinions, and we can love each other at the same time. And we can tell them this hurts me, and no, that doesn't make them bad people. Like all of those things can be true at once. And I think that oftentimes, I think the thing that you're maybe bristling at, or what I hear that is the container is like, it is it's like I create a container for this, and now we're just going to talk about this trauma, and like that's what we talk about. And after that, you go home and you do your thing, and we don't really care about everything else. This trauma, and then now this is how we finish. Very, very linear. Human beings are messy. They're fucking messy.
I don't know what containers you guys are talking about.
Leah,
Okay,
go.
wait,
I'm not in
I'll
these
tell you more
containers.
about this, but
Leah did it
I
on
do
her
want to
show a
say
little.
one thing is that. So I went to this mushroom weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, and when I arrived, the woman introduced herself as the mushroom mama.
Oh, that.
And she began by saying, this is a container. And I was like, never heard that phrase before, but I'm in. Okay, if I wanted a container, I had to go to the container store, but I'm in. And then I understood what this container was. It began with, let us share about our intentions here. Great, we're sharing. Mushroom mama begins the share. The share lasted an hour. We were told that
her
every
share
person gets
lasted
5 minutes, but an hour. And she's like, I'm really struggling right now. I'm going through a breakup and my back is hurting me. And all of us were like, you're supposed to be the mushroom mama.
Right.
You're holding the container for us. So if you're barely holding on by a thread, what's it going to look like for us when we be tripping balls? Okay? So, fine. The Shabbos continues.
Is there a feminine
So
way to say that?
weekend-
Like tripping balls? What else could we say?
Dripping
on a
pussy.
Dripping pussy.
Dripping
Sorry.
uterus.
Also, I really okay. I'm sorry that I use such vulgar language, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, so this is the best part. We're
Trying to be a
sitting there,
feminist.
and
Trying to be.
we're sharing. Everybody's schmoozing just like we're schmoozing right now. And she goes, "I'd like to make an adjustment for the rest of the weekend. After someone speaks, let's take a moment, a breath, and go."
Everyone needs to do.
So every time somebody speaks. So it's like I could be sitting next to somebody and casually being like, hey, where did you go to school? Shh. She's talking. She went to Muncie. Bruh. After a whole afternoon of that, I was like,
Did you trip?
I went to my room. We didn't even do the mushrooms yet.
But after.
I go to my room. I'm like, I'm going to take a break now. She goes, you're invited to join us on a walk. I was like, I know, and I'm going to go to my room and rest. It's an invitation. Now the container's feeling mad tight. Feel me? Okay, in the end, when we did the mushroom festival, I don't even know what to call it. She made us go to our room and put on makeup and our finest clothes to welcome in this fungi.
Like Shabbos.
like
Because we
Shabbos,
can't
yeah.
disrespect it, which I was about because I do feel, again, if you're watching this, don't do drugs, kids. But I do also feel that there's something really nice and ceremonial about not just like being in a basement, or going to a bar and having drugs. This is a very intentional, and I want to get something out of it. That's, So I'm sitting there, and then the first person who took it started giggling hysterically. And she slammed her hand down and said, this is disrespectful to the mushrooms. And in my brain, I was like, I don't think so. I think the mushrooms are come play with us. You know? So that was my experience with healing and safe spaces.
Well, that sounds like, I don't know what, that sounds like a cult. That sounds like you were going into a very specific culty space versus just like in general the cancel culture that's existing on the internet.
I think
and
it's
in the
part
world.
of the same thing. I think that humans are messy and we are a lot of things.
Yes.
And then I think that's what we also talk about, like the intersectionality of those things that we can come back to. But I think that's the thing. It's a very similar thing when we try to put us into a box and we say that this is the right way to heal, this is the right way to do this. That's super limiting. And it's not how humans work.
100%.
We're all different. And I think that's the things that we have, like that we could have those conversations that are hard.
Yes.
And we could make kind of fun, even about gender and identity. Like I like we're having fun about it and it's not scary.
Right.
I think that I so appreciate that we get to have.
Well, I think that's something about being queer Jews, or like very, very, like not just Jews, like, oh, like I'm Jewish, like I celebrate Christmas, even though if you do that, you're still very Jewish. But like people who like
really Jewish,
like we're like people who like we had to really grapple with our Jewish identities along with our queer identities and learn how to take things that we thought were totally opposing and bring them together in a way that we're able to have conversations about, oh, this can be nuanced. It doesn't have to be all one way or the other. Yeah. And then also on like Orthodox people being the OG cancelers, like all that judgment and shame that exists in the Orthodox community that, and we have spoken about this a lot, that like now exists
in the queer community. Unfortunately, so much judgment and shame.
So much.
Well, I just want to say, like,
so painful.
Part of it happened. COVID really changed things a lot for people. People were going out and people were socializing and being human. When you get stuck inside in the container for too long, you start to lose it.
Yeah.
And so then that's also what happened in the OG Chassidish community. They became so sheltered and so protected because they were so scared of the outside world that now all we can do is hone in on each other's and police each other.
Bro.
Because, and so that's what's happening. So
that's so real. And it's like the difference between a skirt like 1 inch above your knee or 2 inches below your knee is like a huge deal.
You felt it when you went to the gym.
You're on the same page on like 99% of things. And that's exactly what queer people are doing with each other about their politics.
So no, but even COVID. So it's like somebody's mask was here versus somebody's mask was here. They were canceled. Yeah. So it's literally the same thing. It's that same festering unhappiness, and it's like what's left? Oh, good, we can destroy each other, and we miss it. So I think
how do we break it?
There's also like almost like telling on mommy. It's like let me tell public canceling. Let me tell everyone. So you were a bad girl, okay? Mommy, look what she did. You know, like her mask is not. It's not just saying, hey, can you cover your mask because I'm afraid of the germs or whatever? Like we should be careful. It's not that. It's let me go telling you. It's like communism. Is that communism? It's like let me tell.
Should I give you some scoop about a big comedian and use tea and use like names?
Sure.
YENTA.
Okay.
Oh my
I don't
God.
care. You're talking.
Alex Edelman and I like,
love
and he
Alex
opened
Edelman.
for me
I love
actually for a couple of my shows. Like
Alex,
he's
be on the
really
podcast.
funny.
Alex, you're incredible.
Melissa and I went.
Yeah.
We went
Together.
together.
I'd seen him off Broadway.
This woman at the show that came after the show to me to tell me I'm 26 years old. I have 3 children.
Leah's show that happened this week, which was amazing. Leah and Ricky Rose, shout out, so good.
So this woman who's living in a very Chassidish, close-knit community said to me, she has 3 children. She has a husband. She's really, really sad. She wants more out of life. And the thing she was saddest about was that her children would be going into the same system that she went into. And she wants more for them, you know? And it was really sad. And a part of me, my brain immediately went to, these people are terrorists. They're like taking perfectly healthy human beings and killing them slowly. And I thought, they're extremists.
Yeah.
It's Hamas. This is ISIS. These are terrorists. That's what they do. They're extremists. I think of like your average Jew, your average gay, your average American, your average human. Chill, cool people.
Yes.
Your average chussid too.
Your average chussid.
Your average chussid. There are people.
But you have
there,
extremists in every
and you have
community.
extremists in every community.
That is such a good point. And actually, do you know Rabbi Sharon Brous?
Yes.
From
Fantastic,
ICAR?
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love everything she says. She had a speech recently where she talks about in the second Beit HaMikdash when it was destroyed, the thing that ruined, there was a siege.
Sinas
Chinam, but there was a siege around Jerusalem, and they had enough food to last like years, and then these crazy extremists, Jewish extremists, burned all the food because they wanted to fight.
So this thing about it being like a famine and no water and no thing, it was really people that,
Yes. And like, just be careful of the zealots, of the extremists, because they ruin it for everyone.
Exactly.
And so also Game of Thrones. I know this is so not relevant. Have you guys seen Game of Thrones? The new also Game of Thrones, where it's like the crazy person, the crazy guy, the uncle, goes and kills the baby. You know what I mean? The queen doesn't want him to go kill the baby, but he escalates the situation for everyone, and then the other side has to retaliate. You know what I mean? It's
so
just
this
like
is the problem with
it's very scary.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm
in health, in business of health.
Yeah.
And one of the things that comes up often is HIPAA, right? And violating HIPAA.
Oh, yeah.
Now, why was HIPAA created? What is the point of HIPAA?
To protect.
It is to protect and preserve the dignity of the patient.
Yeah.
So that their private information isn't shared by doctors and caregivers schmoozing and like just sharing their information. These are people. We've come to a place where HIPAA has become such a scary thing that it's something that's used to bully employees, and they'll be like, you're violating HIPAA. You need to be more careful with HIPAA. You put her name here or you put her name there. When people are forgetting, what was the point? It was to care about patients, to preserve their dignity. So
the Torah is to preserve your dignity, but people use it to bully other people.
Right. So now I'm going to say something super controversial. And my controversial statement is, and it's very sad that it's controversial.
I know this
What is the queer community all about? What are these colors all about? It's no matter what color you are in the rainbow, you are very much a part. And we need all the colors for this world to exist. That's absolutely beautiful. What is not beautiful is when either extreme becomes so loud that it deafens the intention. So take, people in the super Hasidic community. Oh my God, you're gay? What's next? You're going to sleep with a dog? Or the other extreme, where you don't recognize that my pronouns are this today and this tomorrow. Like, I'm okay with you calling yourself and being whatever you want. And also, where's that gentleness we talked about?
Gentleness and policing is not the way
I have a 20-year-old non-binary child. And I tell my child all the time, I love you exactly as you are. And also, you were also my daughter for most of my life. So I may make a mistake and I may misgender you. Not because I don't love you, because I'm human. And there has to be gentleness on both sides. So luckily, I'm raising a human being that doesn't walk around blowing a hissy fit and bullying people who misgender them. Because they're kind and they're gentle.
And I'll say 99% of non-binary people can be kind and gentle about it. And I think there's like that 1% that is so aggressive and so extreme and so hurt, and they're coming from such
they're coming from a hurt place.
Yeah, they're coming with their own pain and their own shit, and it's like really. I don't know how much it is about them being non-binary, or is about like they're dealing with their own pain, and that pain is so valid. But unfortunately, it's like really hurting the rest of us.
It is. It's like the Zealots. It's like when you have those extremists in any community, with Chassidim, with queer people, with non-binary and trans people, you have those Zealots that are just hurting the rest of us. And I think I believe people are generally good. And I think it comes from really a hurtful place, and like they're traumatized. And I'm so sad that they have that experience of trauma, that they were not recognized for who they are. And bullying people into submission is not the way for us to build a good life and a holistic world
and
where we all get along. And it hurts all the movement.
It hurts the queer movement. It hurts the progressive movement.
It hurts all the movement. Human rights. It hurts because when we're forcing people, instead of teaching and being kind and gentle to others and accepting others, I think that's how we move forward. Like, I think that's how we move forward.
So
call people in. Don't call people out.
Yes. And so just may I say that although labels are wonderful and it does help us, treat things, I also think that even what happened in the mental health space is a little bit scary. People are walking around going, I have OCD. Oh my gosh, I'm so ADHD. You're self-diagnosing. You do not have a diagnosis. I've met so many people who told me they're autistic. And my partner's a neurologist, and I've sat with my partner who has had conversations with some of these people, and my partner will be like, after 10 minutes, I can tell you they're most certainly not.
Yeah.
Now I know that people that are tuning in, especially the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, some of you may be saying...
Do you have 18, 19, 20-year-olds tuning in?
I don't know.
Like,
I hope not.
the doctor's gaslighting me.
I hope so.
You know what I mean? They're gaslighting me
that's
because they're not
hard.
taking my diagnosis seriously. And also, I want to make it clear that, and as someone who's in the health space, and we employ doctors, there's value in a doctor that went through thousands and thousands of hours of studying patients and being up night after night and having that hands-on experience. So don't come into a doctor at 18 and 19 and be like, I know better. The doctor's
that's
seen it
all
all.
kids. All kids think
But
they know
that's
better.
my point. My point is,
All
it's
kids
what
think
you
they know
see
better,
on the
that's true.
internet. It's what you're scrolling.
Yes.
It's
There are
also
people
wanting
that are
an
going
identity.
online. It's so shocking to me. 21-year-olds going online saying, these are my symptoms of my neurodivergency. I do this, this, and this. And your average person munching popcorn on the other end is like, oh my gosh, that's me too. And this becomes a philosophy that's adapted.
Yeah.
And that happens
But to Melissa's point, it's also about having an identity.
Yeah, they're
community.
searching for an identity. And I think right now, I've heard somebody say this so beautifully, and I can't remember who it is, so I can't give credit to, but talked about how can you heal in a world that celebrates your brokenness. And I think that's so powerful. And I think that when your young people are seeing that you're getting heard if you have those things, you have those mental health stuff, you have this gender identity issue, like struggle journey, you have, I think there's pressure to be something, to struggle, because you're looked at, you're getting heard. And I'm so happy that people get heard. But I think that then let's make sure we also don't, it's like when somebody has like a child that's going through something hard and you want to pay attention to that child, and then the other children often get left behind. And I think that maybe that's what's happening in our society, that then and makes people be like, hey, see me. I also have this issue, And I think that's sometimes we need to just pay attention to, like, all of us and all our voices are valid. You don't have to just struggle. Can we celebrate being regular? Like, what is the word? Being, most people aren't just great, like mediocre. Can we celebrate mediocrity? Can we celebrate ordinary? Ordinary. That's the word.
Can we not feel ashamed to have success and joy?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I sometimes felt guilty around certain friends sharing that, like, my business was doing well, or, that I was doing well, because they weren't. And we were all like, in a state of like misery, and like, how can I now like wave my happiness in their face?
I feel like that's like a Jewish culture thing.
You think?
Yeah, like we love to be miserable.
Yeah, we have to kvetch.
We love to kvetch. We don't.
That's true.
I'm not
But I
sure,
think it's
by the
also
way,
like a
it's like a
culture.
victim mentality.
But yeah,
Jewish
that's a
culture is also
separate
not
thing.
victim.
It's a separate
like,
thing.
It's like
Jewish
fetching,
culture
but not
is
victim.
no. Jewish culture could be
and-
very victim-y.
But I have to say this for those of you watching at
In
home
work
and you're
stuff or
looking
more
at
like
Maybe not work
and
stuff,
you're
just
like,
like-
work stuff, just like, oh, life is hard, but not really like work and like if you have success and I have
That's
less
true,
than. I don't
that's
see
true.
that
That's
as
true.
much, like that comparison as much.
well, I just want to say that
Yeah.
for you looking at home and being like, oh, there are 3 white people on a couch. Like, we're all so
We're Jewish.
privileged.
White,
and we're
I
all
don't
so
know.
privileged. Like, how dare we talk about the victim mentality? And I just want to say, just because I'm not shouting from the rooftop that my entire family ostracized me, and my mother died before I was ever to make things right, and I was fired from my job, and I was penniless, so I had religious, sexual, emotional trauma. Just because I'm not yelling that from the rooftop, it doesn't mean that I'm privileged. Okay? So that's another thing that, like, I feel so afraid these days to be like, maybe we should be a little less victim-y. Maybe we should be, because then I'm perceived, and then I'm like, that's also policing. That's
No, I
also
mean we
bullying.
are.
What's wrong with
I know
being
I'm
privileged?
privileged.
What's
I'm
wrong with
privileged in
being
a lot of
privileged?
ways.
Yes.
I'm privileged in
I'm
so
healthy.
many ways.
I'm healthy. Like health, we can't take that for granted. I am privileged just literally from being
Yes,
alive,
100%.
for having friends, for being
Yeah.
able to do
Also
this.
for being
like,
white.
we are privileged.
Also for
Yes.
being white. Yesterday I had Shabbat dinner, and
I
there was
wanted to
this.
say white passing. I feel like I'm white. I'm not white because when we look at white, my grandparents were killed, like their family
Yeah.
were killed because they weren't white. So white is really a social construct, and I don't have that same white privilege. I'm white passing, so people
Race is a
recognize
social
me.
construct.
So to clarify, okay.
So people
white
recognize me and I'm
skin.
safe.
I know
But
my privilege.
My dad is white skin and he is not white. He's Jew. No one will identify my dad as a white man. They'll say, "How can you identify that man? Like, what did he look like?" It'll be immediately a Jew. It won't be white.
Because he has
I
the
pass as white.
payas and
Exactly.
But
So
I
I think
did
it's
meet
white
this
passing.
woman last night at Shabbat dinner. Like probably one of the prettiest black girls I've ever seen. Like just a beautiful woman. And she's a lawyer. And she was just feeling so like down in life and like she's just, you know, blah. Everything in her life is blah right now. And I'm listening to her talk and I'm like, of course. This girl's working 80 hours a week minimum. She says if I miss a call at 2:30, like I have to be up in 2:30 in the night. By 3, I must take that call. Why? Because she is a black woman in a law firm trying to make her way to the top in finance, and she's surrounded by white guys that open up their phone at 8 in the morning and they can return all the emails. And so I look at her and I think, damn, I am privileged. Then I see my privilege. Like I don't have those struggles.
But again,
I don't.
do we need? I think this conversation is hard. Do we need to compare in order to validate our own
acknowledge
existence?
my privilege.
But I think we all have privileges in different spaces, and I think that we are privileged. Of course, I am privileged, and that's nothing also wrong with privilege. I think using our privilege to help others is what I want to try to do.
Yeah, like you don't want to apologize.
But why do you need to apologize for privilege?
Exactly.
No, I think where you're coming from is you're getting shit on the internet.
Yeah.
By that.
Okay, so
because and I know because I had the same exact thing happen to me. I mean, I wouldn't say same, but like that. There's like certain buzzwords when people come after you on the internet. I mean, I don't.
Here's the thing about hate on the internet, and I really want to go on record and say this. I really don't care. I know this sounds terrible. I don't care.
I
think
care
it's
so much.
funny. I don't care.
It's impossible not to care at all.
It really used to bother me. And when I came back on, I made a conscious decision. It doesn't bother me. Someone literally goes to pee, takes out their phone, scrolls the internet, and farts a comment on my page calling me a genocide supporter or fat or lesbian or any other thing that you could think of. I literally don't care. Like I
Is
can't
your
even make a
stomach
joke
in knots
anymore.
right now?
Like just scared to talk about it.
Yeah.
Mine
is too.
Mine is not because I know I'm going to cut this off.
Oh, okay.
People see the same words that come out of your mouth. I can interpret it one way, and someone else can interpret it in an entirely different way.
Though.
And but like in a way that's like they just place all these assumptions on you that are dealing with their own shit, and they see you, and they see like their pain about Ted Cruz, you know, which doesn't make any sense, or like me too, you know.
But Raye, that's okay to me. That is okay. You have your pain, and that's okay. And also,
It's not really okay to put it on you.
yeah, and no, it's okay to have pain. It's okay to have pain. And also, I'm emotionally healthy enough to recognize that is just your anger speaking and your hurt speaking. For example, I was in Denver recently, and I'm in a gay bar, and this person behind the counter says, I would never call, if I'm checking someone out and I'm using their credit card, I would never call somebody their name on their license.
Yes, ever. I heard that. Yeah.
Okay. And I said, why not? And they said, well, I might be dead naming them.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought, I hear that because why would we want to hurt someone who spent their time transitioning and now they're a different gender, a different name? Nobody wants to be like reminded of a painful thing. And also, if I'm on that end and I've been through my pain and I walk into a random place and a stranger calls me by a name that's on my document, I have zero right to be angry at this stranger. Zero.
Yeah. I don't think like as someone who has been like there's been times where I'm in a group of people and on my credit card it has my old name and like the bartender will be like, are you here? And like that sucks. That feeling sucks. But it's not like I'm not mad at the person. I just don't.
It's on your name.
Yeah,
it's on the card.
It's on the card. I'm not mad.
Doing it,
But I don't know if this bartender is doing it because they're like, you know, they're scared of anger. They just know that it's an issue, so they're not going to do that.
And it's a queer space, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a way of, I think that there's sensitivity is like
it's the word
really
I would
important.
never that bothered me. I would never.
Right.
And that's like so binary to me. It's like people are human.
I think maybe it's also the like I'm better than you because I wouldn't do this.
I'm
you know?
holier.
Yes. So I'm
we grew up with this.
Yes.
We understand
so we
that.
can recognize it so well.
I think that's the thing. Sometimes I think that we pick up on stuff given this group think.
Yes.
I think we see it everywhere.
It's the same.
And the world doesn't see it. They look at people, the world that we come from, and they're like, oh, they're so different. They're so sheltered. They're so sexist. They're so this. And you're like, you don't see your behaviors at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes your behaviors are so much more extreme, but you put it, because it looks different, you're like, oh, I see this, but I cannot see my own shit.
I mean, my partner, I don't know if you want to cut this out, but, you know, I thought growing up Reform is so cool. Like, because...
Did she grow up Reform?
Pretty much.
Oh, nice.
And they're, like, mixed, but definitely, like, driving to shul on Shabbos, you know, like... And I thought, what a cool upbringing. Her parents are probably so chill. But in her world, she has crazy expectations, too. Like, they all have to be doctors, and they all have to be very conservative, and for sure straight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like their own set of... And I'm realizing that the more I'm out there. Yeah. So to me, it's no different. What's saddest to me, and I started this way with the cancel culture, is that these were my people. This is my gays.
Yeah.
But now I don't feel like they're my gays. I'm like walking on the street. And my queers are hating on other parts of my identity, such as my Judaism. So I'm like,
it's hard being a queer Jew, I think. And I think we don't have to get into the political stuff, but I think the idea that we have to, in a queer space, we have to say our opinions and let you know that we are a good Jew and that you can accept us is so sad. And it's such a horrific feeling to recognize, and also a reminder that just because you share this thing, just because you're also queer, doesn't mean you're my community. And I think that that's something that I used to be afraid of community when I first left, because I was thinking like, I have to put aside parts of myself to be accepted.
In the queer community?
In community, where I was from, right? Being community means having to put yourself, parts of yourself away to fit. And then I was more open to it after a while. And I think I'm right. I think building your own community of people that don't need you to do that, building individual relationships is what I focus on. And then being able to build that community. But community that can cancel you because you're not a part, you don't think exactly like them.
Yes.
How sad. And also how small is that
That's
world?
That's not a community, baby. That's a
not
cult.
A community. Yes.
That's a cult.
And also you don't learn that way.
That's a religion.
I literally follow people I don't agree with on Instagram on both ends. I will follow a range of people precisely because I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to hear other people's opinions. That is how you know somewhere in the middle is the truth usually. But also just being like, I want to understand the world. I want to understand how people think. And I think sometimes we get so stuck in a little bubble that if you think a little different, like you said, if it's a little shorter, if your skirt is a little, it's like, you're not my people anymore. You're a little different. Like, there's so much similarities.
That's how I felt about, like, COVID when it hit.
Right.
And people are like, oh, you got the shot? Yeah, I got one. Well, I got 3.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. You know, like, I'm better than you.
So we spent a lot of time focusing on the 1% of like, this is like the extreme version of
let's talk about the 99%.
Let's talk about the 99. And let's specifically talk about...
What, you want to talk about sex again and about tribbing again?
I think you want to talk about it, Leah, because you keep
My girlfriend actually asked me when I went, Chuck, you going to talk about tribbing again? I was like, yeah, if you want me to.
What do you want to say about tribbing?
I think it's amazing. I'm all for it. Everyone should try. Actually, like, we were talking about it off air.
Yeah.
You know, and this is for the bisexuals out there that are like, okay, I want a guy. I want a guy because I just want someone to, you know, take care of me and I want to lay back. But if you're a girl, it's so easy. You could just wake up in the morning, a little Chuchie-muchie, and then carry on with your day. You know?
Yeah, tell me more. What is that?
A Chuchie-muchie.
What's a Chuchie-muchie?
You want to explain what a Chuchie-muchie is?
So Chuchie-muchie is just like stage 2. It actually comes from the Yiddish expression. It's kind of like hanky-panky.
Yiddish expression? Is a Chuchie-muchie is a Yiddish expression?
The 2 of them were Chuchie-muchie.
Oh, I never heard this. Okay.
Chuchie-muchie is like rubbish.
It sounds Hungarian. Chuchie-muchie.
Wait, I just remembered something, which is that I'm not going to cut everything. I'm going to put it on the Patreon from before. So if you want to listen to the actual details of all the really not
Should I say something really piggish that will go on the Patreon?
Did we recorded?
Okay.
The whole time?
This is for the Patreon. This is for the Patreon. I'm giving you personal sex tips. You ready for my college class tips?
Yes.
Okay,
no, I'm talking about the political stuff. that we cut. I know all the political stuff is going to be on the Patreon.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair.
I did want to also add about the last time I didn't get a chance to say about like, I got some hate. This made me feel bad online because people were like, I have internalized sexism when I said that I don't think the community is inherently sexist, and I will stand by this. And it was something that ate me up inside. I was like, am I internally like sexist? And I spoke with my therapist, and she said, it's interesting because the world sees the women and say, look how they're forced to dress. And she says, have you seen the men?
Yeah.
Like, what are they wearing? And I think there's behaviors that can be sexist, but I stick with the gender roles. And I think that just seeing the world fully is what's important. I won't go into it more because I don't have to explain myself more. It did eat me up.
Well, you know what? If this is on the Patreon, let me say this.
Okay.
During my ayahuasca experience, I sat in ceremony with quite a few Chassidish guys. Okay? Super healing for me because, you know, my interaction with Chassidish guys growing up was not great. And that's, again, my personal experience, not the Chassidish community. But also so healing for them because my heart broke for some of these men that have had such awful interactions with women their entire life. It's only like their bossy mother or their bossy wife, or the wife that demands things from them. And
that's the thing. It's sexism on both ends.
Yeah.
They're like 19 years
It's
old
both
when they get
ends.
married. They're
Basically, everyone is.
It's a role.
Life
If you
sucks
don't
for everyone.
I don't know if life sucks. I think if you don't fit that role and if it doesn't work for you, it's really hard.
Like the chassan teacher tells these men, you need to go home and take control.
And you need to please your wife.
You need to please your wife, and you need to whatever.
You need to please your wife. You need to buy her flowers. You need to make money or learn.
He didn't date either. He didn't
wear those
fall in love
clothes.
either.
Yeah.
So it's like, which is beautiful. Not everyone needs that, but when I was sitting with some of these folks, like at one point I wasn't sure if I could sing because they have very strict rules about singing, and actually the leader of the group said, "Sing, sing." They need to.
Was this
hear.
while you were tripping?
It was during the ceremony.
Like coming up?
Wait, did you do
There are
ayahuasca
3 cups.
I did.
Oh.
So there are 3.
You did 3 cups?
I did 3. I've done really intense ayahuasca
Wow.
experiences.
Wait, does this need to be on the Patreon?
That's okay. I'm fine with any.
Okay, fine.
But I will say that he told me, sing. May your feminine voice be in front of these men. And it was like, as I was singing, I was just watching tears come down their eyes. And they were like, their hands were outstretched. They just so badly wanted normal feminine energy. That wasn't threatening or demanding or scary or perverted. None of the above. You know?
But this is interesting, right? You're saying something that's just really powerful. And also, oftentimes I think people think women are the meek and the soft, and you're like, they're actually demanding and harsh. And because it's like there is a certain role that women take and a certain role that men take, and that's so hard.
But it's
sometimes.
like they're demanding and they're harsh on top of doing everything. Like they're cooking and they're cleaning and they're
man
working.
has to do those things. So for me, I think at least it's very clear. The division of labor is super clear. You bring home the money.
No, but the
You
women are
in
working
charge
too.
Oh yeah, your community. Not so much in mine. My community, they might work, but they're not responsible. They're not prepared.
I remember my mother always saying, like, I have to do everything around here. I'm like, you actually don't.
You don't. You choose.
You know?
I mean, there is. I think what's interesting, what I think about when I think there is a way, like there's an understanding. I think the men that like families that I see, the dynamics are, yes, even if the woman's working, they're not the breadwinner. Mm-hmm. The husband is in charge of taking the boys to shul, taking care of before Shabbos, all this stuff, studying with the kids, being like making sure there's money. Right. So there is division of labor.
I want to do that one.
Right?
Totally.
And then in the secular community and in liberal communities, we pretend sometimes that the division of labor does not fall on the women. And data shows that it still does. Women full-time working, and it often still falls on the women.
For you.
Totally.
What
And this
am
is
I?
the agreement of the men on the other side, what they're doing.
I am now in a very gender confused state because
Gender confused.
I have a career and I've been the breadwinner. Like whether I was with my husband or whether I was with my woman, I was always the breadwinner.
You don't need to fall into those heteronormative traditional.
But I'm still full on a career.
Just like, am I a man because I make money?
No.
More money?
Wait, but I also cook. I clean.
Yeah.
I do laundry.
That's because you're a lesbian.
I love it. I love
you do?
domesticated stuff. There's
I
nothing
do too,
better
actually.
or greater than me serving my girlfriend dinner and watching her eat it and I just...
It feels good. You're a balabusta. I think you're a balabusta.
Should we talk about? That's a great transition to your show.
Oh, balabusta, yeah.
Which we have to talk about.
Let's get it.
Melissa's show that she sold to Netflix.
Yeah, we're developing. It still doesn't have the. We still don't have the public. What is it called? The PR.
The press release.
Thank you. We still didn't. It's because it's
Cut
still in
this out,
development,
please,
so
but
I'm not
can
sure.
I audition for a role? Any role? Is there a role for me? Any. Little, big, don't care.
I think at some point there might be.
I'll be an extra.
At some point there might. Why? Who are you, Raye?
Yeah,
are you an actor?
I am.
Okay, should we talk about the show you and I are selling?
Yes.
Are trying to sell?
No, first let's talk about.
Okay.
First let's talk about Balabusta.
Developing the show called Balabusta. And
with Julia Garner attached.
That's why I think about this stuff a lot. I think about the sexes. I think about not showing, not telling, but showing the world and letting people understand the dynamic. And I think that oftentimes we see just a little piece or the worst of it, and it just show. How about you just see that why we love it so much too?
Yes.
Why we bitch about it and love it.
We love it.
You'll understand if you see this.
Me and Melissa
if it's
were
just bad, we wouldn't love it.
At
We were
Leah
crying at
and
your
Ricky's show. We just had tears.
You know what's really
And
wonderful
our
about...
hearts are like we love it.
Yeah.
I love
one of my
family. I
favorite
love
things
the
about
culture I'm
growing
from.
up the way that I grew up, one of my favorite things is the joy and abundance.
The joy and
There
abundance.
is no stinginess. If you were karg in our community, that's a curse word. Like nobody
Karg
was
is bad,
stingy.
yeah.
That's stingy?
Your number
Yeah.
one question you would ask when it came to shidduchim, which is matchmaking, is the family balbatish?
Balbatish.
What does that mean? That means, are they generous?
Yeah.
Are they abundant? Do you
Yeah.
open the fridge and is there food in the fridge?
There's food.
Or is there like one dinky can of tuna and you're like, what should we Uber eat?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Abundant.
And the house is balabusta. That's the thing. Women are not meek. Like you are capable. You
No.
want a girl that's capable, smart, well liked, popular. Those are the things that you're looking for in a girl.
But meek is different than second class. You know what I mean?
You feel second class.
Yes.
So did I. I will go on record and say, and again,
Were you
I want to be
told?
fair to all the communities. I really want to be fair to all the communities. In my community, which is super heimish bar park, I saw myself as second class, and I'll explain to you why. I was extremely talented, for example.
Yeah,
I love to sing.
but
I
you
love to
couldn't
perform.
sing in front of men.
Where
That's really
where
hard.
are my
Huge.
options?
That's huge.
Even and I can say this because I was the most famous religious entertainer. Name another one that was as famous
woman,
as I
yeah.
was. Not one.
But you were
I
still
was
just a
performing
woman.
for sold out crowds for 5,000 people.
No, it's because we have to protect men. Men
I
couldn't listen
also
to it, right?
reached
Right.
my
So
limit.
the limit is only
Yes.
women. You don't have
Yes.
more.
And not only the women, it's not that I wanted to perform for men. I just wanted to broaden my jokes. I wanted to sing more. I wanted to use more secular beats or, talk about topics that were off limits. And I was circling the same three
Yeah.
topics.
Yeah.
Mother-in-laws, being fat,
Children?
and kids. Like, bro, at
Mother-in-law.
some point, I want to talk about life. And,
Yes.
And
And
again,
real life.
things evolved a lot. But did I feel like a second-class citizen? Yes. I go to
Because
shul
Were
every
you aware of it
Shabbos.
as when you were in the community? Did you see it through that lens, or are you seeing it through now? Because I find there's a lot of language and there's a lot of ways of being like, no, women are amazing, but in this role, like women, I don't think I was ever told. I was
So
told
to
it's a
m-
shame I wasn't born a boy. I was told that because as a person,
And that's
but I wasn't
that's
told that it's.
second class. That's sexism.
I won't argue with you on
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but I think it comes from, it wasn't like you are less than, it's like you're just not fitting into this role and we're so sorry that there's no room for you. And I think
This role that's better, and you're in this role that's less
I didn't
good.
hear this. No, I didn't hear the role that's better.
I think you might be the
that
only one.
No, that's why I'm asking. I didn't think that women were less than.
Wait, I
It's
shouldn't
that-
have said that. I'm not trying to other you.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel the same.
No,
Yeah.
I just wonder if the languaging used. Right?
This is called having a conversation, people.
I just think the languaging used is often covered. It's often like women's strength, women's beauty, Eishes Chayil. Like it's
Yes.
often in language coded into, and I think that oftentimes women believe that. Like women believe that they're special and you're holier. You don't need this stuff. The reason you don't need to daven as much because you're better. You're holier. Men need this. You don't need to go to the mikveh because you're more pure. Women are more naturally pure, which I of course don't like that idea.
Yeah,
like what?
It's just
I'll
absolutely
tell you
not
the
true. Have you
issue.
seen the
Pure.
sex
Have you
that
seen
we're
it?
having?
Yes. I'm like, have you seen
I'll
this?
tell you the issue, Melissa.
Have you
The thing
seen-
is that you don't need this can work for some people. You don't need that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But like as a curious person, when you tell me that I don't need something, my question is why not?
Oh my gosh. And it's painful to be like, am I in the wrong body? Like, I'm not trans.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? What do you mean it's a shame I wasn't born a boy? My brain works a certain way and it's not supposed to. Did God make me wrong? You know, like, then it's a very hard thing if you don't fit in those roles.
Yes.
Super fucking hard.
If you fit in it, it's great.
If you fit in it, I don't think women are not like you're less. It's like you have your role, you do it beautifully. I will come home and I will buy you jewelry and I will get you flowers.
And
Some
the way
women are fine with that.
This is my understanding of that, and you can please disagree with it. But there's this like Stockholm syndrome, which is when do you know Stockholm syndrome?
Yes, Raye, I know Stockholm syndrome. I'm trying to see where you're getting.
Sorry, you're looking at me like
your reaction was like,
what are you
where
saying?
are you going with that?
Like it's a phenomenon. It's a very well known studied phenomena that you can be really happy being in prison. You can love the person who prisoned you,
slaves
who
like
imprisoned
some
you.
slaves wanted to stay
And that
slaves.
doesn't.
But who's the prisoner and who's there imprisoned?
Women are the ones that are imprisoned.
By whom?
Men.
Right, so that's where I argue with the Chassidish men are also they are
also in prison.
I think they're imprisoned by women.
You know what's interesting?
Like I think that maybe they're imprisoned by women.
You know what? That's such a really good point. That's a really
Raye,
good point. Women also imprison themselves
and prison men.
other women and men.
And I think that it's a world.
Yes.
I think that's where I bristle at the sexism when it's just looked as women.
And also I want to point out women do it to each other.
Yes.
So in our community, one woman will ostracize another and be like, she's wearing too much makeup or she's too whatever.
Women do it too.
But if it's her husband likes it, it's fine, right? Like you have women that suddenly are like more modern and they change. They wear longer shades because her husband. Then we understand shula bias. Because the most important thing is happiness in the home.
Honestly, women could probably do it worse than men. Like imprison other women
and imprison their husbands. That's the thing we were talking about. Like, that's the thing. That's where I say like it's sexism on both ends.
Yes,
I think
yes, and when you look at it from an objective way, like who are the people that have the power that make the decisions?
Yeah, we still live in a man's world.
Well, honestly, it's two
that are allowed to be in public.
At this
it's
point,
both. It's even more extreme.
That has evolved a lot.
Yeah,
and I will say it's sort of a monster that is just it created itself, and now it's like. It started from Holocaust survivors that so desperately wanted to hold on to values because at any moment in time, their friends and neighbors could have them shipped off.
And because
that's
this is
a very
how we
scary feeling.
This is how we get the machine, keep the machine running. If the man goes out to work and the woman is having the babies and the woman's staying, like this is how it works as a machine. And this is how we keep our community safe. That's like literally just that.
So again, the intention was correct. Unfortunately, some women these days are policing their husbands. And like, why are you going to shul 3 times a day?
Gosh.
I have some friends, the husbands used to say, I married a mashgiach, I didn't marry a wife. They literally feel like their wives are policing them to be more devout
and mothers
and more
do that
whatever.
All the time.
And these men also want to chill.
Yeah.
So like I'm learning a lot as I'm.
My mother used to do that to my brother, and I was like, "Mommy, let him breathe." She would make him like, "Did you go learn?" She wouldn't let him do other things, and I was like, "Mommy, let him." There was so much pressure
for
on my
woman
brother.
too,
more
because the women were also
feel so much pressure.
Yes,
he had more than me
because
pressure.
No, but the women were raised
he was like,
believing
wake up early and
important.
learn, and no, because he had to study.
I know, because he's more important.
No, because you have different importance. I'm sad that you felt that, and I'm sad that people feel that. And I often wonder, is that how I felt when I was younger and I just don't have words? And I think that I don't. Like, I've thought about this. And because I think that I wasn't told that anybody was... And also, I grew up with 6 sisters. I grew up with, like, all the girls.
But I also want to say
was never
that
told
Melissa
that women are
probably
less.
did have a different experience.
Of course.
Totally. And also that...
but I did struggle. I went to summer school. Like, I did get
that
messaging,
is true.
but
And
not...
you have a beautiful, positive outlook on it. And I think it's a beautiful thing. That means that your parents did something good
right. They did something right.
Work on you and work on the family, because you do feel that way. That's really beautiful. I didn't feel that way. I didn't. Raye didn't. I know some other people didn't. But also, again, now that I'm part of I'm actually like, finding my way back to what Judaism is all about.
I really like what you said at your show, too.
I feel super celebrated in my Jewish community.
Yeah.
We women are it. Like, so much of our success as a Jewish nation is is about the women. About the powerful women.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that where I am now. But yes, in that community, it's no different than any other one of these extreme.
I think in general, this is also a thing. In general, it is a man's world. In the secular community,
100%.
same issues. We pretend that we are woke. That people are like, and there are same issues. So I think there's still men are in power.
I 100% agree.
Sucks.
I think the difference is in the Orthodox Jewish community. They tell you that women and men are equal. And they're not.
But they do tell you.
They do.
That's
no,
what I was trying to get at.
No.
You're not told you're second class.
No, okay, you're right. Okay, I'll say this very clear to the camera. I was never told that I was not equal. I was always told that I was equal. I just knew it in my heart that I wasn't equal.
It's interesting,
but
that's what I mean about perversions.
That's
because
what I wanted to say.
But that almost made it worse.
What is a wife? Ray, what is a wife? Ezer Kenegdo. That means she's literally a piece of him. She is his exact other piece. That's a couple, right? That's a partner. That's where the partner concept comes from. Unfortunately, people have perverted it. And unfortunately, you grew up in a community where they perverted it.
Yes, I completely agree. And I don't think Hashem wants that. And I don't think that's what true Judaism is at all. But I do think that it made it worse for me because I kept saying to my rabbis, I don't feel equal. This is messed up. There's halachas that say...
And they would say you are equal.
Yeah, and there's halachas that say if a man and a woman are drowning, you save the man first.
Oh, I hate this.
And that's straight up in the Gemara. This Gemara that
it's not women and children first?
No, it's men first.
I'm going to look at this up.
Why does a man...
I gotta study this.
Boy get... the Yerusha, right?
Oh, but that's because a woman marries into another family, and that's so she's part of that family and supposed to be paid for by that. Like
no, but do you hear how crazy?
But I hate this stuff.
There's halachas that say if a man and a woman are drowning, you save the man first. But no, men and women are equal. What?
Yeah. What about
a valid question?
What about saving women and children first? Is that what do you think about that? I mean, I don't like any of this shit, but what do you think about that?
Like as a halacha or just in general?
In general, this idea of is that men and women equal?
Is that sexist?
Yeah.
Well,
saying that women need to be protected and cherished and taken care of, and because they're not as capable of taking care of themselves. I mean, I wonder. I got to look this up because I'm so bristle. Like I hate this.
Yes,
I want to talk to my brother and like discuss this.
No, let's just put this out there. You guys know about the Hatzalah in our community, right?
Yeah.
So there is a men's Hatzalah in the community. There are EMTs, there are volunteers, and it was created just for our community in every Jewish community to really help people because a lot of times when you call 911 it takes a long time. Well, a bunch of women said, hey, we're super modest. We don't feel comfortable with our womanly issues like giving birth, which happens a lot en route to the hospital, you know, especially in our community. It happens a lot.
People have a lot of babies.
Exactly. So these women approached Hatzalah and said, we'd like to join. And the men said, we're not having women. Yeah. And it became a running joke. And they said, it's women are weaker than men. They can't schlep men up the stairs. Which also made me laugh because women can carry children for 9 months and push that out and a man could never. Yeah. So the idea of women being weaker or whatever, half these men have big chulenbochs and can barely make it up a flight of stairs. Yeah, and, you know, so I found that. And yes, that Ruchi Fryer, who was a lawyer, and then opened up.
She's a fucking judge.
Yes, and she opened up Ezra Snashim.
Yeah. My sisters were talking about it. Like, this Chassidish woman, a regular Chassidish woman, and she's a judge, and she's like, they were like amazed.
That is amazing.
So here's the sad part. The sad part is that up until today, her organization, Ezra Snashim, has female ambulances and female EMTs and medics.
My sister really wants to join. She's gonna.
She should. It's an incredible organization. The problem is they don't get a lot of calls. They don't get a lot of calls.
They have a separate number?
They should. Yes, they have a separate number because the community has been indoctrinated with calling Hatzalah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they don't feel confident.
I remember in 7th grade, my rabbi made us memorize it.
Like,
so they don't feel confident calling Ezra Snashim. Ezra Snashim does get calls, but not the level of calls that it could get. So in that sense, I think
they should have one number and then just like route it.
Hatzalah will never. Hatzalah will never do
that.
that.
Work with them is the thing. There's some issues there,
and I'm sure it's not sexism related at all.
That is sexism.
There is, but there's also some political stuff.
Yeah,
like they don't want to deal with. There's some internal
woman emotional.
No, I think there's some internal stuff that like business. It's like a business thing that they're like. There's some.
I'm sure there's a million things.
There's something that's
like the famous batchins in our community. So they're comedians.
What's a batchin?
A batchin is a comedian.
Because you don't have mitzvah tans.
It's a rhyme. It's someone who rhymes.
We have it on mitzvah tans. It's an MC.
Mitzvah tans.
It's an MC and a mitzvah tans, and they're not just a comedian. They're an MC. They like rhyme. They sing.
So they're like these entertainers for weddings and for Shava Brachas, which is the 7 days post the wedding.
Yeah, like we should have women be able to do that.
That's what Ricky wants to do.
She wants to be so good at
that. In every mock wedding, I always played the batchen. Okay, so a batchen makes a lot of jokes about married couples, and I grew up hearing the batchen at all my cousins' weddings just make fun of women. Like, so the standing joke at Hatzalah was that,
he's going to
what
jail.
Are you gonna do if a woman calls Hatzalah? Hi, I'm in labor. Yeah, what are you wearing?
Oh my god!
Right, so like you'll hear Hatzalah make these jokes, and I literally want to slap them when I hear it. Like, you dummies, you don't know what we do. But also, it's kind of funny. It's like a little funny. It's funny. And
it's funny if you can do it both sides.
And sexist, exactly. Yeah. I do that about men. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. I have to burp one more time. I have to fart one more time. Let me be a dude and do that. You know, I should do that. My girlfriend would laugh at these jokes because she is a man in a woman's body.
Sometimes the jokes, the stupid jokes are the funniest.
She like, loves herself a stupid joke. She will purposely tell me like dirty jokes she knows I don't like just to get a rise out of me, like a boy.
Mm-hmm. Like that is like boy. A very boy thing. Yeah.
Relationship.
Anyway, Balabusta. Your show. I don't know. Tell us about how's the development going.
She was saying she wants to develop it to make sure that it's not sexist, that we don't see that.
No,
sexist.
what I want to do is, again, show the nuance of this. Like, us having a conversation now, there's nuance there. There's nuance of, like, we saw it, you felt it, you weren't told it. There's reasons, there's nuance there versus a secular person saying, look at this woman having to be forced and seeing them very other and not seeing the not the whole picture.
Yes. And thank God they have you on that show, because otherwise it will literally just be like another, Orthodox person leaves and we're in chains and we're traumatized. And that's boring. Like, we've seen that already.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, what I want to also see, like, one of the things I want to see, and it's the father is involved in childcare. Like seeing the little kid, seeing the father push the child or holding the baby or those things. You never see that ever. And in my family, I mean, how could you not have that? There are tons of kids. There's always
in all
men
fairness,
with
you don't
kids.
see it in the secular world either.
Right.
In
but
fact, it's so common when a girl sees a guy with a carriage or holding a baby, every girl's like, "Oh my God, he's so hot."
But in the Chassidish
that guy's
world,
so hot.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's a dad.
Exactly.
Doing dad things.
That's what I'm saying. Sexism is still people. Dads are still babysitting their own kids, and that still help their wives in the house. Like, and that's still happening in like liberal homes. People still use language like that. But anyway, the point is, I want to show the family stuff. Like, the center is the family, from a woman and a man, and then they have these roles. Again, when you don't fit into that, that's hard. But if you do, you have these roles, and the thing, family is the biggest thing. You always see like a man holding a baby. That's a huge thing, and like, I want to see the family. I want to see the joy. You talked about the joy, the humor. Hasidim are funny. The reason, like, the difference between Chassidish and Litvish stuff, like, they run late, they are funny, they're not super serious, they're light about everything, they make jokes, they're the family, they hang around, they sit around and schmooze, they're smoking, and they're like, they are living life. I want to see that.
Yes,
there is some stuff that is problematic, of course, but where is all of that stuff, and where is the joy, the music?
Yes.
The stuff that we cry at, that feeling, the stuff that you want to do.
My father never called a litvak, which is like not Chassidish. He always called them a cult litvak, which is like cold, because they're very rigid and very structured. Yeah. I think of, like, that policing back to that, like,
Hasidim, there's a humor and there's a joy in life. You're supposed to enjoy life,
and
like,
you're supposed to
God
break the
with
rules
joy.
too.
You break the rules. You follow. You'll go to shul. You put on tefillin in shul, but you will go at noon. You will sleep late. You will take your time. You will be in the bathroom. Take your time and
just
then
for
go. Just for Kiddush.
That's what my dad calls it. He says, "Come to shul JFK."
Oh, nice. Just for Kiddush. I like that. I like that. So I think that I want to see that. Yes. So I'm excited for the show to show something else. I'm excited to see not the, like, really serious on both ends, women like this, men like this. I want to see opinionated women. I want to see women that are capable. I want to see men that are funny, and not like men that are enjoying and not super formal and real life. Like, I'm excited to show what the Chassidish community is really like.
And do you feel like you're getting pushed to show it in a different way?
There was conversation. I think there's a lot of learning that is happening,
right?
And it's also a big responsibility to make sure that you get it right, and also making sure you want it to be authentic, and you also want it to be interesting, and it also needs to serve the story that we're saying or telling. But we have a really good team, and thankfully things are. I'm really excited about it now.
Good.
So yeah. But right now we're in development, and hopefully things are again moving. The writer strike really stopped us for like a year, even though the strike was just 6 months, like getting back into it. But now, and now I'm also really excited that you and I were selling. Raye and I created this show.
Did you sell it?
No, we're trying.
We're shopping it around.
We're shopping it around.
We have an agent.
Can I get the premise of your show?
Yes, it's called Out Again. Raye.
It's called Out Again.
The main character, let me say this, is called Raye.
I don't know who it's based on.
I don't know.
I don't know what it's about.
The main character is Leah.
It was called Raye when Raye was not called Raye.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, I think you might want to be Raye.
Yeah.
Are you Raye?
Yeah. It was called. I named the character Raye because I wanted to call myself Raye, but it was like. I started it like 3 years ago now, and then it was an aspirational character name. But then I chose the name Raye. Yeah. But the character in the show is Raye without an E, so it's like
there's a huge difference.
It's a
Raye,
totally different
R-A-Y.
person. And also her like Hebrew name is Rachel or like Rachel, and mine is Rena, so it's different.
Are you going to tell us the premise?
So it's a half-hour dramedy loosely based on my life about coming out of the Orthodox community and then coming out as queer 7 years later, and then falling in love with a lesbian rabbi and learning how to love Judaism again after just being so bitter and angry and resentful through this lesbian rabbi convert who chose to be Jewish. Isn't that crazy?
So it's like a love story with Judaism.
Yes.
An unrequited love, and then maybe it is requited.
I hope you sell it.
I mean.
So anyway, whoever's listening, we have an agent. If you go reach out.
Should I tell them
Should we
about my
drop
project?
the agent? Can we do that? Eris Talent?
Yeah.
Okay, Eris Talent.
Amy and Eris Talent.
Amy and Sade.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I want the lesbian love story to be so hot and juicy. Like I want it to be like a mix of Jim and Pam from The Office and the Bridgerton couple, but lesbian. The first season Bridgerton couple. Like when you were watching, did you watch the first season?
When
you were watching it, and I was like,
already. Just kiss already.
I want that. But gay. And we haven't seen that except for kind of the L word, but I just feel like that wasn't.
You know what's a great L word?
I have
the
not
original L
seen
word.
a great queer show.
Yeah.
With hot people who have real chemistry. The last, I went to watch that Kirsten Stewart movie.
Oh, Love Lies Bleeding.
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
So it was so weird, and the sex was weird. It was all very weird. I'm like, what happened to just great chemistry between two people who
you know what show the Wandering? What was it? Wandering Travelers. What was the show? With the same guy from Bridgerton, the second season, and the guy from White Collar, the pretty guy with the blue eyes. They're both gay. They played this couple in not Wandering Travelers. Oh, their sex is hot.
What was so hot about it?
Brokeback Mountain vibes?
So sexy that there's power play.
Maybe with boys, it's better.
It is sexy,
maybe lesbians need to step it up and hit that gay movie. Chemistry vibes.
Yeah, we need some sexy.
You know what? The other thing is that the notes, and this is just indicative of the lesbian perception in the world. But a lot of the notes, we have a montage in the pilot of she first comes out as queer and she just fucks a bunch of women and it's dirty and heavy and they push each other. They push each other against the walls. And then some notes that we got were would she do this? She's just being with a woman for the first time. Shouldn't it be sensual?
No.
Shouldn't it be sweet?
Yeah. That's something that I had to do also in in God of Vengeance, this play that I played this lesbian, and I had to also work with the director, just being let's make sure that it's not just brushing our hairs and tenderly feeling. There is desire,
and it's dirty. Some of the lesbians I know have the kinkiest sex.
Yeah.
Like they have bruises all over their body and they're like, this is hot.
When I was newly out and I didn't know yet, one of our lesbian couple friends, like when I hung out with them, I saw these huge welts all over her body. And I was like, what is that? I remember. And then she looked at her girlfriend and they started laughing.
Yes.
And I was like, what's so funny? What's so funny? What is that? And then when she explained it to me, I was like, oh, people do that? I want to do that.
Yeah. Where are your bruises, Leah?
Bruises on both my knees for you. You know that
Yes,
song?
I do.
Exactly. So figure it out.
Because you were telling us all about your hot sex with your girlfriend.
Well, actually, no, I do have a lot of bruises on my body because I pole. I do pole dancing a lot, so I constantly get hit.
You just
with black and blue
was
marks.
a flex.
Oh yeah, sex with my girlfriend.
I pole.
Okay, so here's a little tip for all the people in like longer term relationships for lesbians. That's anything over a year.
The trimming.
No, there's no trimming. But I will say that a little chaos and a little drama definitely spices up the relationship every once in a while. So I'm not suggesting that you fight or anything, but I am suggesting a little polarity. Because you need to have this. Lesbians, girls, and people of the same, they tend to fall into this like very good friendship vibe, and like before you know it, you only want to hang out with each other and you become like really enmeshed,
right?
And it's all great, but then there's less chemistry because there's just like friendship. But a good fight can really just hit you where it matters, and the next thing you know, it's bada boom, bada bang, bada bing.
Or like really sexy dates can work maybe.
No, just throw things at each other.
No,
nothing like a little bit of a life-threatening danger.
No, you avoid.
Oh,
then
that's how it works.
First you avoid for a long time. Then you talk it out, and when you do, you're both hysterically crying, and all of your wounds open up wide. And like one of you avoids, one of you is extra anxious. It ends. It lasts days. It's uncomfortable, and then slowly, you're like, but I like this person, but I want to be with this person, but I miss this person. The other night when we went out, I said. I don't want to break up with her, but I was like, I never would break up with her. She's like, if I would go on an app tomorrow and she'd be on the app, I'd be swiping on her. She's like such a catch, right? But sometimes you have to be a little pissed at somebody to like.
Is it about appreciating what you have versus taking someone for granted?
It's like a hate fuck.
Is it? Or is it like really? I think sometimes we get so used to it, and we also think that people are representative of who we are and they need to fill our needs, and if they don't, and also like, is there other stuff? And then when you are angry and you think about losing,
straight couples feel the same way.
For sure.
Like you become too bestie and you hang out too much. Exactly.
And it is taken for granted. Like, and then when you have a little bit of space, then you're like, you know what? You're actually kind of hot. I like you.
And that's what being poly is for me.
For me too.
That's why I like it so much. Like I feel like it makes me being with other people makes me closer to my
other people.
It
fills you up, right?
Yeah.
Like it fills you up in a certain way. And you're like, I feel sexy, and they're like, oh, I see other people desire you too.
Question. I have a question then about the poly thing. Why is sex the thing? Like it's not enough to like go out with friends and get that validation and intimacy from good friends. It comes along with sex?
Yeah. Because I think it's like the sex, especially when you're in a relationship for a long time, the sex can get repetitive. You can take the other person for granted. And then like being with someone else makes you realize, oh, I really do also want to be with this person. Is that toxic?
No, I think that there's also, I think it's a similar thing of it's.
Leah's like, you have problems.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Am I one to judge? I've got chapters.
I think it doesn't have to be sex, right? Because what I think is, if you're really close with somebody or somebody really like, so if you're not sleeping with someone, but there's an intimacy. If you're in a monogamous relationship, your partner might feel threatened by that. Anything that your partner feels threatened by, to me, that is, I don't want my partner to feel threatened. I want it to be an understanding that I have intimacy with other people. So it doesn't just have to be sex. It's not an ownership of each other, and it's not like. I want it to be clear that one person cannot fulfill all the things.
Right.
And so if you are having sex with other people, it's also you having different kinds of sex with other people. It's also you tap into yourself in a different way. And then when you feel fuller as a person coming into your relationship with this other partner. I think you're more whole. To me, I think you are. And I think that if your partner if you have this agreement, I think your partner does then there's something like, oh, you don't belong to me. That thing that you said, that newness, that thing, it keeps a little bit of that mystery because you're not all mine all the time. I don't own you, and I don't. It's a reminder because we don't own each other even in monogamy.
Yeah,
you know?
so that's why it's
But
interesting that you're saying that.
Oh,
and that you're
I
saying
love that. Yeah. And
because I don't feel at all like I own my partner owns me. But also, I get a lot out of my friendships, and out of my career, and out of like my passions, you know, that when I immerse myself too much in the relationship with my person,
that's a real thing.
I become codependent,
Oh,
and then I
gosh.
forget about like friends and passions and things
Yeah,
because I
so
get wrapped.
that's why for me it's not just
So,
it's
but
not
it's
just
not
sexual.
sex.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm in
I don't
a
have that
monogamous
issue.
relationship by choice, but I do find that I need things out of my relationship that are not sex.
Yeah. I think that's a
to
normal
just keep
relationship
filling.
thing.
Yeah, no one
To a
person can
reminder.
fulfill everything.
But that's also an important thing to remember because oftentimes when you're like, I see that with friends, suddenly they meet somebody and then they're kind of gone. They
Yes, I
disappear.
hate that.
And
I hate
it's-
that.
I think people get so caught up and then their world becomes small and just the two of them. And no two people can just like, you need your own life and you need your own people.
And that's
I think
not
that's just a
sustainable.
relationship thing that
Yeah.
we need to remember. We need to go with friends. But sometimes I also work really hard and then I'm like, I'm feeling disconnected. And then I went to see your show and I was like, I feel so alive.
Yeah.
I just needed people.
Yes.
Like sometimes we just need to get
You
out
know
and
what, my
see.
friend Hoovy, who's watching this, I want to say thank you to her because sometimes I
Love
will get
Hoovy.
into my
Yeah,
rut and
Hoovy's
she will be
awesome.
like, you need to get out. You
Yes.
need to come out. And I'm like, I don't want to. And she reminds me that no, human connection is my everything.
Yeah.
It
It
really
is.
is. So for me, it's not sex that I need out of the relationship. It's other kinds of connections.
Yeah.
Again, because your partner can't be the person that you're having this conversation with and that conversation with. When I meet with my friends, sometimes we like talk about ourselves and our struggles and our emotional things. My partner might not.
Be able to
you
do it
know,
the same.
Also, your partner
hear
is like
that.
the person. Especially if you live with them, your partner becomes this like you see them, you live with them. Sometimes you need to get somebody outside of your life. You need to go just like
Right.
do, and then you come home. You
But
feel
it's
so
not
much more
about
grateful
sex
for your
for you?
partner. It can be. I mean, I
Yeah.
really like having sex. So
Exactly.
Like,
That's my
it can be,
yes.
of course. But
like for me, like also sex, like that flirtiness, the
Energy.
emotion,
Energy.
like getting close with someone and getting
Yeah.
to know them and
It's like
being
when you're
flirted
in a
with them,
monogamous
that
relationship.
makes me feel alive.
yeah, yes, exactly. And there's
Yeah.
a monogamous, like in a
On
monogamous
top of
relationship.
stand up and all the other crazy shit
Yeah, you do a lot.
and podcasting.
Yeah.
Yes, tell me about.
No, I was just now. I'm like, I want to. Yes.
Do you stand up?
I think that I would think I would find that really scary. I think that I lost my train of thought.
Okay. Anyway,
Monogamy, polyamory. I think that it's
it's not about the sex, but
no,
it is
it's-
about the
I'll
sex.
tell you, it's not. I'll tell you. I think oftentimes people feel like they lose their cool because if there's anything that's threatening their part, if in a monogamous relationship, if you even look at somebody, oftentimes, and it's not healthy,
Right.
like, how could you even look at that?
Right.
And I think that for me, anything that can lead to that, I don't want to be in. And so
I'm
even
with
if
you.
I don't actively have sex with someone outside of, like, if I'm dating one person, I'm not having sex anywhere else, I'm still polyamorous because I will never let that stop me. And so, like, for me, yes, I could develop intimacy that could be sexual, but even the act, for me, it's just the fact that I could develop intimacy with someone that's part of that.
Actually, when I had Dr. Sarah Glass on the podcast,
Dr.
shout out
Sarah
to
Glass.
was she said something I liked about being poly and like also coming from this Orthodox world of like, I never want to not be able to do something with my body again. Like if I feel like I want to do it, like I don't want to be told by a certain external force that I can't do it. And I don't know if that's like, that really resonated with me.
I was poly when I was married.
Tell us more about that.
I may have a different experience.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
No, wait,
I
actually,
opened my relationship as a Chassidish person.
Yes. Okay, wait.
And I think that
you were
it's
saying
just,
also before
I
we
think it's just who I
started.
am. I think it's so that's what I think. I think it's who I am. It took nothing away from. I love my husband, and he's a really good man. It took nothing away from my relationship with him. I want to experience life in different ways, and I think that that's still what it is. I love people. I love getting to know people, and if I have connection with somebody, and if it's sexual connection, like if I don't stop myself from allowing it to be that. From allowing it to be
Right,
sexual. Like
right.
if I feel
I
something.
think honestly, a
I'm
lot of
excited
people
about
would be interested in exploring open relationships and some
It's a
kind
lot
of
of
level.
fucking work.
But people are afraid. There's a
Yeah.
lot of fear that is around it. Like as someone who has dated poly, and dated monogamously, a lot of it was rooted in fear. I was afraid that I would like someone so much, and there's a possibility they can meet someone else, and they would fall deeper with them. My mom loves saying that. Number one,
and then also so much communication, Leah, and so much awareness, and so much time, and so much energy. It's hard.
Yeah. So like it depends. For me, it would very much depend. Like, you know, for the values that I want out of life and what I want next for my life, I don't want polyamory. I don't.
Great.
But that's a choice, right? But when I hear you speak, I think for everyone listening more, that I hear what you're both saying, and also there are many ways to get satisfaction.
I agree.
And love and intimacy and feel sexual energy out of your relationship. And by that I mean, like, even my friends and I who are in monogamous relationships, we've gone to like goddess circles where it's a sisterhood, and it's like a 2-hour meditation, and each of us like got a rose, and the music goes soft, and she guides you through like your own body and your own, you know, and it's personal. And that made me walk out feeling more sexual. And I brought that home for my partner.
Oh, fun.
So I think that there are ways to get those things.
Also, going out with your partner on sexy dates. Like, I know in relation, like, I would sometimes, it's like, oh, we need to date other people. Like, you need to get out. We need to just date. And sometimes it's like, we need to date. You and I need to date. Like, with my partner, and you go somewhere, you go to a hotel for the night. Like, you mix it up and you get that sexual energy.
For me, my problem is never the sexual. Like, I'm so attracted to my girlfriend. The issue is the friendship. I always find the friendship suffers, because when someone hurts you, you're like, imagine if a friend hurts you. You know, so that's.
But we also hold our partners more accountable than our friends.
Oh, definitely.
I think that oftentimes, because I think there's a lot of, like, the world has not shown us healthy ways of partnership, is what I believe. And I think that we think that our partners have to serve, like, if they don't, like, if you love us, you wouldn't do that. Versus they are who they are. Like, separate from you, they were always who they are. And if you tell them, I don't like this, hopefully they will care. But just assume, like, oh, this means you don't love me. Yeah, and like these things that we put on our partners that we do not put on our friends. We do not make space for another's humanity oftentimes in partnership, and fully who they are, because we make it all about ourselves.
But we forget to ask for
and
what
we forget curiosity and curiosity of the other partner.
Yeah.
Like, why do you do this? And
well,
like, what's
say,
going on for you?
As someone who struggles with codependency, I internalize a lot. So even if my partner's, let's say, having things going on with their own personal life, sometimes I can't help but internalize it, right? Because I'm around. So, like, I feel like it's normal.
Yeah, there's nothing that's not normal. I think that if it's like serves us, if it works well, and I think that oftentimes people feel stifled in relationships because we're not allowing for another. Like, I think those things are completely normal, and it's what we've seen. It's also what we've seen. It's also what we see in our homes. It's also what we see on TV. But I think that for me, polyamory is a reminder. It's always a reminder we are separate people. We are separate people. And that you are you separate from me. And you are not there to serve me. And I trust that if you believe and love me enough and care about me, if I come to you and I say, I really don't like this bothers me, you will care. And also, it doesn't mean that you will change.
But what does that have to do with polyamory?
For me, it's just a reminder, because I'm not caught in this. What I found is, in my last relationship, there were times that we'd get stuck and it would start to feel codependent, and we would be like, "Oh, it's time for us to date. We gotta get out and like remember
who you are outside the other person,
outside the relationship."
So it's basically reminding the person that they're not your everything.
It's reminding yourself that you are your everything.
But then why do you need another person?
Because people bring you joy,
you don't
not
need
because
another
you
person.
need them.
It's
because you want them. That's the reminder.
You want them.
Yes.
Okay. We are running out of time.
Oh yeah, we went on.
We went on. Melissa, I want to hear about you fucking your Chassidish husband.
Fucking my Chassidish husband.
At the time, before we started rolling, you were telling us, and Leah, maybe you too.
What? I'm not sharing that shit.
When you
I use the word shit.
I don't like to talk about my ex-husband, because I feel like I can talk about a little bit about me. I just don't want to bring him in because it's his stuff.
Fine,
and like,
not
I
him.
don't feel that's fair.
Well, I mean, when you just got married,
we just had a lot of sex.
A lot of Chassidish people, because they haven't
We haven't had sex. I'm telling you, this is your person,
yes.
and the world is like, go have
Yes.
fun. And like my college teacher told me, she said, you can watch any videos, you can watch any porn, but how fun is it when you figure things out by yourself, and then you feel like you've done it. Like
she said, you can watch porn.
Yeah, but she's like, because there's no if it helps in your relationship, like you're not supposed to wear any clothes, but if lingerie helps or like anything that adds to the vibe is fine. But she's like, how cool is it with porn? She's like, how cool is it if like you figure it out and then you feel like you're like, it really does feel like you're the two people that came up with this. No one in the world has ever done this before.
That's
and
cool.
It's the coolest thing. I have never experienced, like I remember the first hug with my husband was so much more sexually charged than any, well, until it was the first girl that I held hands with.
Yeah.
And I was so scared. I looked away.
Did you hug
like
the other day?
Did I hug?
Did you guys hug?
That doesn't do it though for me. The hugs now, because I was so like
Also,
I haven't had that.
Best hugger.
I got a nice hug.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't get
Like
a
an
nice
extra
hug.
squeeze.
I like a hug that turns
I got
into
an
a
extra
fuck.
squeeze.
What the fuck?
I know.
I didn't get a squeeze
But I
hug.
think that hug with my husband.
I got
and
a
like
linger
that,
of the hand, by the way. She went like this.
Oh,
Bye, Leah.
see?
Are we all trying to have sex with her?
I'm not, definitely not.
Yeah, you're married. Sorry,
think
you're
there
not
was a
married.
flirty energy.
Married.
You're
We'll say
monogamous. You're monogamous. Okay, tell us.
No, I just think that I think that because it was so, I had been with women before, and not
Before you got married.
Before I got married, right? Like my first sexual experience with women, but it wasn't in my head like this real thing. It was like fooling around. It wasn't.
Right.
I didn't connect my feelings. They were my friends.
That's
and
what
like,
Ricky Rose said. It doesn't matter because Leah is gay. Like, it's not real.
It was
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then with my husband, it was like we get to do anything we want now, and it was so cool. And we would go to sex shops together and get stuff and toys and lingeries and whatever. Like we had a wild sex life.
This is gonna be a 2-part episode. Go to the Patreon to hear about our kinks, because I'm gonna put that.
Okay. Yes.
I'm gonna put the kink stuff
Okay,
on the
good.
Patreon.
So we're not-
Patreon.com/YENTA. It gets really
This is not
intense.
content. Pay her.
It gets really good into
Yeah,
kinks.
okay.
It's intense. Okay. Anything else we want to say to wrap up Orthodykes part 3? Thank you both so much, Melissa Weisz, Leah Forster, Raye Schiller,
YENTA
podcast. This is huge. Shout out to Antonia, my co-host, who we miss, who's in LA, who you guys hopefully Mirz Hashem one day will meet. Anything you want to plug or say anything to wrap up?
Melissa's here with the plugs. You'll have to go to her kink to hear about what she likes, which plugs she likes.
I'm not into plugs. Well, go to the Patreon. You'll find out if I am or if I'm not. I'm not.